totally on there, and that's not gonna go anywhere while I talk about this book.
Welcome back to my YouTube channel. YouTube channel. YouTube channel.
Lover Awakened by J.R. Ward. Quite the read. Let's get into it. We are going to first discuss the elephant in the room. My microphone is in fact taped to my person. I'm hoping that the audio is a little bit more consistent until I can get like a clip microphone or a bigger microphone. Until then, just don't even acknowledge it. Just know that sometimes we have to be a little resourceful. That's all I'm going to say about it, okay? Today's book review, commentary, thoughts, comments, concerns is this book. Now, I don't know how famous this woman is with her writing and all that jazz. Obviously, like, people read her stuff, but like in the YouTube book talk world, I'm not really sure like how many people actually like know about her writing. But I found it and I'm gonna talk about it. So whether it's popular or not, it got me. This one in particular got me all up in it. So I have to make a video about it. It's required of me now. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. I did actually start a reading journal as well. I got this from my local Books a Million, so it's really nothing to write home about. But I have all kinds of notes about this book because y'all, oh my goodness, I had so much to say, and I actually did this like when it was fresh, like as soon as I finished the book. And it took me like a couple of days. I want to say maybe like a week to read it because that's just how in it I was. So there are a lot of things in this book that I would have to like over explain because this is actually the third book in an ongoing series. This series is called the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, and I believe that series has like 22 plus books in it, and like it's ongoing. It's still going. She's still writing in this series. So this is book 3. I have book 1 and 2 here. I read them already. I have not made a video about them because I was literally just flying through the books. But this one made me stop in my little tracks. So, yeah. So, I will give you guys background on things that happen in the first 2 books that connect with this book. But the other first 2 books might be a different video. But I just really want to do this one first because this one was just so good. And I usually like the idea of making YouTube videos about books that were just so goofy and silly and dumb. But this one was just so good, and I have so many things that I want to say about it. And I've already spent the past 4.5 minutes saying how much I want to talk about it, so let's just actually start talking about it. Okay, so I'm going to read you guys the synopsis on the back, and then we're going to go. Okay. In the shadows of the night in Caldwell, New York, a deadly turf war rages between vampires and their slayers. There exists a secret band of brothers like no other, 6 vampire warriors, defenders of their race. Of these, Sadist, yes, is the most terrifying member of the Black Dagger Brotherhood. Because of course he is. A former blood slave, I'll get into that in a minute, the vampire Zeta still bears the scars from a past filled with suffering and humiliation. Renowned for his unquenchable fury and sinister deeds, he is a savage feared by humans and vampires alike. Anger is his only companion, and terror is his only passion, until he rescues a beautiful female from the evil lessening society. That I will also get into. Bella is instantly entranced by the seething power of Zadist possesses? Okay. But even as their desire for each other begin to overtake them, Zadist's thirst for revenge against Bella's tormentors drives him to the brink of madness. Now Bella must help her lover overcome the wounds of his tortured past and find a future with her. Now, I will say I went into this book and I did not read the synopsis at all. I just started reading it. I just picked it up and just got into it. So, the book starts off. We're getting into it now. The book starts off with it like kind of glides from book 2 into book 3. So at the end of book 2, Bella, the character that we were just talking about, was actually kidnapped by the vampire slayers who are called lessers. Now, lessers are human beings who sold their soul basically to an omega. It's called the Omega, but in my eyes, it's just Satan. So it's humans who sold their souls to Satan, basically, and their job is to kill off vampires. Like their whole thing is they want to rule the world. They want to be the ones shifting around in the darkness and all that jazz. So the only reason that they can't is because the vampires like run it, and they have the Black Dagger Brotherhood homies who are like the top tier warriors who actually just go around killing them because they're trying to kill them. So lessers are soulless humans. So a soulless human kidnapped Bella. Bella is a vampire. Okay, so she is taken. She's like in some pipe hole in the ground and being tortured day in and day out. But the character, the lesser, the soulless human that stole her, never stole a woman before. So every time they were like kidnapping vampires to like get information about the Brotherhood so they can go and kill the Brotherhood, they were always taking men. Bella is the first female that they've ever taken. So of course word went around and they were like, oh my goodness, it was a woman, it was a girl, it was a woman that was taken, oh my goodness. So the only reason that O, the letter, who is the lesser that stole her, his name is O. Technically, his human name is David O'Byrne or something like that, but lessers go by the initial of their last name. Personally, I hate it, but whatever, right? His name is O. Anyways, he only took her because she looked like his like girlfriend or like fiance, like back when he was human, but like she ended up dying in like a car accident, but he used to beat the crap out of her all the time. And he was just like, wow, she's so like my ex that I want to keep her. And so he does. And he beats the crap out of her the same way that he did his other. He's a sick freak, essentially. And when it comes to the lessers, they are often chosen specifically because they're sick freaks in their human forms, like within their human lives. They are sought after because that's what the evil Omega Satan person wants. They want evil people. And if you're a sick freak, you're the first to be chosen. So, and oh boy, these books are full of sick freaks. So, anyways, he was one of them. So he kept her, you know, beat her up and all that jazz. And one night, another vampire was brought in, and O was like, Bella, well, he doesn't call her Bella, he calls her wife, because he's demented. And he was like, wife, I brought you this man so that you can drink from him. Because in this world, vampires can only drink from other vampires. And vampires can only drink from other vampires of the opposite gender. So men have to drink from women, women have to drink from men of their same species. they can drink from humans, but it's kind of like moot and pointless because it's not. It's like the Cullens with animal blood. It just, what's the point, you know? So yeah, so he brought her a vampire to drink from, and she was like, I'm not drinking from him. And he was like, you'd better, or I'm going to kill you. And she was like, well, guess you're going to have to kill me because I'm not doing it. And then while they were like going back and forth, arguing and whatnot, another lesser came in when O said something along the lines of, I love you, you're mine. And the other lesser was like, oh, I'm telling, because as a lesser, you're not supposed to be doing stuff like that. You're not supposed to be having feelings. You're not supposed to be keeping, like, your goal is the Omega's goal, the Satan's goal. And he was going off script, essentially. So he ended up chasing that lesser out, and there was like fighting going on. And Bella ended up like releasing the other vampire. And the other vampire was like, oh my goodness, like we all thought you were dead. Like we can't believe like you're still alive. Like, oh my goodness. And she was like, yeah, just get out of here. And he was like, no, I'm going to help you. Like, I'm going to get you out of here. And she was like, there's like literally no time. Like, literally dematerialize and just like bring help back. Like, just get. And so he was like, okay, like I'll bring help. I'll come back for you. And then he like dematerializes. So they can just basically like teleport. So that's pretty useful, I guess. So that's what they did. They teleported. So the other vampire is gone. Bella's still there. O comes back. He's ticked that she basically like released the guy and then, you know, beats her senseless, um, to the point where he thinks that he killed her. Cow, a bummer, right? Moving on. Um, in the same universe, somewhere else, Zadist, who's like a guy, he's a vampire, one of the Brotherhood. He's the love interest here. He is like seething. He's seething so bad because he's like, Bella was taken and we gotta find her. And he keeps going back to her house where she was stolen from, like cleaning up and all that stuff because he's in love with her. But he's too, like, you know, traumatized to admit it and all that jazz. So he's like cleaning up and, you know, like walking around and like trying to find clues, try and find her and everything, only for it to come back that they got a call from the vampire male that was taken, and they were like, yeah, like he was here, and like that's where Bella's being kept. They all move immediately. They're all on it. So they post up, pull in, grab Bella, dip. And everybody's like freaking out because Bella, I honestly really don't know what happened, but to some degree Bella's eyes were messed up to where she couldn't see. They had to like ointment on her eyes and stuff like that. Like her eyes were screwed up from the beating because he stabbed her. I have no idea, but her eyes weren't working. And so I'm like, hey yo, is she about to be she about to be blind for the rest of this book? Because what the heck? So anyways, they like get together. He's like, you know, Zadis is like cooing her and like taking care of her, bathing her and all that stuff. And let's kind of paint the picture here of Zadist, right? So the first two books, Zadist is painted as this very aggressive, cruel man, vampire guy who kills for the fun of it, who just takes women without any rhyme or reason, and just like a horrible painted picture of this guy. Like he kills women, and he likes to kill lessers, and he's like really brutal about it. Like his brother, he has a twin brother named Fury, and Fury even tells Bella in like past books, hey, you should actually stay away from him because he's not broken, he's ruined. Oh, okay. Mind you, the first two books we first meet Zadist, which you guys have no idea about because I never made a video about it, but I read the books and it was pretty awesome. But the way that they talk about him makes it sound like he's literally the Brotherhood's pariah. like he's like the absolute worst. And everybody like walks around on eggshells around him, and they it's like their whole demeanor changes when he walks into the room because they see him as like a ticking time bomb where he's just gonna explode. He's just gonna go all out and just be a big meanie. And when I'm reading this, I'm like, I don't I don't think that's entirely true. In the first two books, I'm like, okay, this guy's like angry all the time, but to be quite frank, he's just sarcastic and funny, if you ask me. But in this book, in his book, I already knew he wasn't like that. But it's crazy to me that the people who call him brother, which is like their warrior status, like they need him, but they're talking about him like he's like the worst thing ever. And then they're warning other people, stay away from him. He's a freak. And it's like, stop playing in my man's face. Like, somebody come get their dude. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, we know, and it's like, especially reading this book, we know that he went through some pretty crappy things. He went through some awful, pretty awful things. And instead of trying to be understanding, granted, I will say, like, Zetas doesn't even make it a point to, like, try and reconnect with people. Like, he pushes people further away. Did I say that right? He pushes people? Yeah, he pushes people further away. And he is often, like, combative and things like that. But when you're traumatized, that's usually your defense mechanism, you know? So it's just, I just don't feel like it was really fair the way that people were talking about him behind his back, just to, like, be in his face and try to say, like, oh, like, talk to me, like, you know, like, we're here for you, like, we love you, like, you know, all that stuff. Like, that kind of, honestly, not gonna lie, made me kind of want to punch all of them in the face. Because why are you talking about him like that behind his back, just to turn around and be in his face and be like, oh, but you're our brother, well, like, be for real. But anyways, so he's got Bella, and of course Wrath, who is like their king, and Fury, his brother, twin brother, mind you, but they don't look anything alike because Fury has like a lot of hair and his face isn't scarred up, and Zadist is like bald. Like, he's not like bald, but he's got like low cut hair, and he's got a scarred face, and his eyes are black, where his twins' eyes are yellow. So they're twins, but they look nothing alike because Zetas went through some crappy crap and Fury didn't. so we have that. Anyways, so he has Bella. He's like cradling her, singing to her, like bathing her and all that stuff. And Wrath told Fury, hey, you need to watch him because we don't trust him with that girl in there. But if we try to take her from him, he will literally explode. So watch him. And Fury's like, yeah, I got it. Like, don't even worry about it. So they leave, all that jazz. Mind you, also, just to add a little bit more fuel to this fire, Fury is also in love with Bella. Because why not have twins trying to bond with the same girl? And I'm not gonna lie, I was reading this and I was like, sorry, Fury, this is not your book. You can't have her. She's not yours. You can't have her. Move on. So he does eventually, but in the first few pages, you're just kind of like, Fury, please stop pining over this girl. Like, you don't need her. You're gonna get somebody else, not her. Move along. So time passes. Bella's healing in Zadist's room, and everybody's like, you can't keep her. And he's like, yeah, try and take her out of here. Right? You're not taking her. So Zadist is like going to bed, and he sleeps in the nude, and he's like sleeps like in the corner on like a pile of blankets, like in the nude, and he's got like Bella on the bed, like ointment on her eyes, unconscious, all that jazz. And then she ends up like waking up and like freaking out, and he's like trying to like be like, hey, relax, like it's okay, like, you know, like you're safe, like you're here and all that jazz. And then everybody heard her scream, and everybody comes like rushing in. It's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Just to see a very naked Zadist standing over Bella, who's like freaking out. And of course, it's just like, it's not what it looks like. But does Zadist say that? No. He does not plead his case. In fact, Fury is the one that like throws him against the wall and it's like choking him out, and it was like, you disgust me, you sick freak, you monster, how could you do that to her? And then I think it was like another guy, I think it might have been like Rage, who in a previous book, but he's also like one of the brothers, came in and like took Bella out of there. And Zadis was like, yeah, just let her go somewhere else. And Fury's like screaming at him, and Zadis literally doesn't make any move to defend himself, to be like, no, like it's a misunderstanding, like no, I wasn't trying to force her or anything like that. Like he doesn't make any, he does not advocate for himself at all. He just lets them think that, he just lets him think that they like, just lets them think what they're gonna think. And he was like, whatever, like it's fine, like I don't care, just make sure she's safe. And then that, it's like, why? So it's like, this is just like further, I'm getting heated. But this is like further, just like adding more fuel to that fire, that they think he's a terrible person because of what he went through. But it's like, no, it's not. It isn't, because I wasn't trying to do that. But he doesn't say that. It's like, and like he, like even in his mind, because we saw what was going on, but even in his mind, he was like, it's better that she's not in here anyway. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Why would you say that? What are you talking about? But anyways, we move on. The days go on. So now Bella is in like a separate room, and Fury comes to see her. Fury is the twin, and he's like talking to her and stuff, and you know, she's like, yeah, I'm sorry I freaked out, it's just I can't see, like my eyes aren't working and it's kind of freaking me out, like is Zadist here? Because she's in love with Zadist. And Fury was like, yeah, like you don't want to be with him, like you don't need to be in his space or whatever. Like she was like, no, like I want to be with him, like I want to be, like where's he, like I, he said he was there, like one minute like he was singing to me, all that stuff, like where's he at? And Fury's like, don't worry about that, you just focus on healing. It's like, okay, like I guess. So time passes. Somehow Bella ends up back in Zadist's room, and Zadist is like, okay, fine, like I guess you can stay, because he wants her there, but he also wants to keep her safe from him. Um, and she's like very, what's the word that I want to use? She comes off very strong. Like she's coming on to him really, really strong. Like, I like you, I want to be with you, I'm in love with you, like you're hot, like I want to lay with you, all that jazz. And he's like, girl, you're better than that. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I don't think you should. Like, you should go be with Fury, his twin. Like, she wants him, but he keeps trying to throw her at Fury. And Fury's like, I'm all for it, but she doesn't want me, bro. She wants you. And Zadis is like, she doesn't know what she wants, because she's literally traumatized right now. And once she's done being traumatized, she's going to come to her senses, regret all this, and she's going to come running to you. And everybody's looking at him like, no, that's not going to happen. So one night, they're kind of getting, they're like getting a little more comfortable, you know, like with each other and all that jazz. And she ends up telling him something in his little ear, like whisper, whisper, whisper. We don't know what she whispered, but whatever she whispered to him got him getting up out of the bed and leaving the room and running off to his brother, his twin, Fury. It was like, I need you to come with me right now. And he's like, okay, like what's the problem? He's like, no, I need you to come with me like this instant. So he like grabs his twin and is like running back to his room and like throws him in the room, and Bella's like looking like, what is this about? And Zetas points to her and is like, feed her. And they both are like, what? No. No, not at all. No. No, it's not happening. And Zetas was like, you feed her, you drink from him, I'm gonna leave. And he leaves the room. And Fury's looking at her like, "Oh, you need a feed?" And like, "I got you." And she was like, "I'm sorry. This is kind of embarrassing because I didn't know he was going to get you, honestly. I don't want you." She's like, "I don't want you. I want your brother. Um, I don't want to take your vein." And he's like, "Yeah, mm, I don't. It might be a better idea if you just kind of like take it from me." And she was like, "Yeah, I don't. I don't want that." So Fury leaves. Fury leaves the room, and Zetas was like, "Well, that was fast, you know." And he was like, "Yeah, actually, I didn't feed her." It's like, "Why didn't you feed her?" He was like, "Because she doesn't want me. She wants you, dude. And you gotta go in there. You gotta feed that girl. Otherwise, she's gonna starve. She's not gonna take nobody else but you." And that just kind of like sends Zetas into like this spiral, because he's like, "No, gosh, please no," because again, he's got a pretty tragic past. So he goes back into the room and he goes into the bathroom and he's like scrubbing himself raw. Like he's like, because he's gonna like have her like take from his wrist or whatever. So he's like scrubbing his wrist because in his mind, he thinks that he's dirty. He thinks everything inside of him is dirty. Anything that comes out of him is dirty. He feels dirty because of his traumatic past. So Bella like walks in on him like rubbing and like scrubbing his wrists raw, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, like what are you doing? Like what's wrong with you?" And he's like, you can't have it. Like it's dirty. It's gross. It's dirty." And she's like, "You're not dirty. It's okay." And that just like sends him into like a further frenzy. And he ends up like calming down because she's like, "It's okay. Like it's fine. Like we don't have to. Like I'll figure it out. You know." And he was like, "It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Just drink it. Just drink it." And she was like, "All right, bet, say less." And she just like drinks it. And that ends up getting a little heated, but he doesn't want to continue because of his tragic past. Like he can't even refer to himself like with like the actual terms because he's like detached himself from his own body, if that makes sense. So he refers to it as it. He calls it an it because he's just like it, and he doesn't think of it as like a part of him. It's like a it's like he like detached himself from it because of, you know, his tragic past. So like that was really interesting because you don't really see a lot of the mental anguish trauma can have on men, you know? So in this book, to have a male character who is really like deeply wounded, and it you can see it in like the things that he does, the things that he'll eat, the things that he says, the things that he does. It's it's just really really interesting. So one of the things that I also thought was really interesting about this character was that he's illiterate. He can't read. So his whole backstory is that he was taken as a baby, stolen from his family and sold into slavery. And as a slave, you don't learn how to read. So he is illiterate. He's like 20, 30 something years old and still can't read. Another thing was that he doesn't eat food. He only eats like food that already is. So like he eats a lot of apples because you can't drug food that's already made. Like if it's prepared, it's easily drugged because in his past he was drugged so that he could be handled better, you know. So he only ate food that was already as was, like apples. Like he all he really ate were apples. He also didn't drink vampire blood. Like he didn't drink from his own species. He only drank from humans. So that could have also been like a thing where like the one time that he was told to drink he didn't, and it got that woman killed. Very very sad stuff. So it's very interesting to see that a lot of the stuff that he does in the current connects with things that happened to him in his past and why he doesn't do it or why he does do it, which I just thought was a really, really interesting and really, really great like parallel on how you see like how trauma can really shape and form your mindset, your actions, and your habits. I was really into that. I really liked that. And oh boy, the past was very hard to read, to say this. It was very detailed. And I had to kind of take a breath every once in a while. So that is your trigger warnings if you ever decide to read this book 30 minutes into this video. Okay, so they drank from each other, or she drank from him, and he was like, okay, I have to leave now, and ends up leaving or whatever. Mind you, in this book, there's like several storylines going on at once. So we have O's storyline, the soulless lesser, Zadist and Bella, Butch and Vicious. Butch is a human and Vicious is a vampire. They're like roommates. And John Matthew, who was adopted by the Brotherhood, and he is a mute. So that's pretty cool. So all intertwined in this, I'm going to focus mostly on Zadist and Bella in the first half, but then I'm going to give you guys just like some really cool like tidbits from like the other characters as well, because everything is going on all at once and it's insane. But eventually we get to a point where Zadist and Bella are getting a little hot and heavy, and Zadist is like, okay, you know, like I'm okay with it, we just have to go slow, like just be gentle, go slow, be nice. And she was like, all right, I can do that. And again, it's just so, it's refreshing to see like that it's not, it's reversed. Like, it's usually it's like the woman who's like, no wait, please stop, you know, but it's him who's like, look, I need us to, and she's like, I got you. Like, I don't know, I like that role reversal, to really see like a man in that kind of area and like healing from it, like gradually like trying to like heal from it and everything. But of course it doesn't last long, because she ends up getting a little too excited, hot and heavy, and like gets on top of him, and he ends up like throwing her off and like beaming to a corner. And she was like, oh my goodness, like, I'm sorry, like, what did I do? Like, I don't want to do it, like, what happened? And he was like, don't get on top of me, because that's what happened in the past, and I don't like that. And she was like, ooh, noted, sorry, I will not ever do that again. And then we move on, because he was like, I can't do it anymore. So he's like, okay. So one night, it's like a couple nights from then, but Bella is going through her little kneading period now. That is vampire heat, for anybody who is confused. That is all I'm going to say about that. So in the vicinity of that, there are 6 other men in this house. They all live in the same big old mansion, and everybody is affected by it. So 2 men in the house are already mated. They already have like their wives. So when they were feeling it, they grabbed their women and they dipped. They grabbed their women and they went to go do what they had to do. The other 4 had to kind of smoke to like kind of get a different smell in the air, so that they weren't in like enthralled with trying to go. So Vicious, who is referred to as V in this book, is looking at Zadist and is like, hey buddy, are you gonna go handle that or what? And Zadist is like, I don't, I don't want to. Send Fury. And Fury's like, I wish you would stop saying that, because yes, I want her, but she doesn't want me, so you're gonna have to handle that. And Zadist is like, but you're basically me, it's fine, like, you can do it. And he's like, no, you got it. Good luck. So Zadist goes up to the room where Bella's at, and he almost like crumbles to his knees because it was just so intense. And he's like, hey Bella, are you okay? And she's like, I'm fine, just go away, because you being here is making it worse. And so he was like, okay, bye, and leaves her. leaves her in the room to like literally just writhe in pain. So he goes to his brother's room where his brother Vicious and Butch are at, and he's the fourth. So he's like, hey, pass me some of that smoke or whatever. And they're all looking at him like he's crazy. They're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, what do you mean? She didn't want me in there. She told me I was making it worse by being there. And V was like, right, yeah, it's only going to get worse unless you do something. You have to do it. And he's like, no, I don't. Nah, just pass me the joint. Like, I just give me that. And they're all looking at him like, she could like low-key die. Like, it's just cruel to be left in that state, you know. And Zetas was like, yeah, no, I don't want to. And so V ended up getting up and was like, all right, fine, I guess I'll have to do it. And that just sent Zeta seeing red. He basically like tackled the guy and almost punched him. And Fury and Butch were about to come over and like yank him off, but V was like, nah, like this is between me and him, like I got it. And Zetas was like, if you go anywhere near her, I will literally kill you. And V was like, settle down, I'm not gonna touch it. I just wanted you to realize that you wanted to. So now get in there and go handle that. And Z was just like, no, I can't do it. Like, there has to be another way. And they were like, well, you could use the morphine from when she was rescued and use that, but there's only so much that can do. So anyways, good luck, get out. So Z goes back to the room, and the morphine is long forgotten. They end up going at it or whatever. And it's a 2-day period. It's 2 days. So they were at it for 2 days. Intense, right? And then once it was over, he like went downstairs to like go get her some food and whatnot. And Fury found Z downstairs and was like, hey, like, how did it go? Like, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, we're all fine. Everything's fine and dandy. I'm just gonna feed her. Mind you, while he's down there, he is not eating apples. No. He's eating a chicken leg. He's eating a chicken thigh. He's eating leftover hot meals right out of the fridge. And this, for one, is kind of like giving Fury like a little head scratch, because he's like, you're eating real food. You don't usually do that. And he's like making a plate for Bella. And like, mind you, like they have not looked at each other. He's just kind of been like going like all over the place trying to like get stuff for Bella and whatnot. And he ended up telling Fury, like, because Fury was like, yeah, like, is she okay? Like, how was it? All that jazz. And Zetas is like, it was an honor to serve her. It was amazing. And he was like, okay, great, glad to hear it. And by that point, they have finally like looked at each other, and Fury like recoiled a bit and was like, hey bestie, have you looked in the mirror recently? And Zetas like, look man, I don't have time for your games, I got a jet. And Fury like called after him, but Zetas is already gone to go handle his woman. So they're like, okay, like eating, all that jazz. Then like another storyline happened. Don't ask me about it because I genuinely don't remember. But back to Zetas. Zetas is now in the office of Wrath. Wrath is the king, right? And all the other brothers are also in there. And they're like yipping and yapping about all the things that are going on. So one of the things was that Revenge, who is Bella's brother, was trying to basically seclude her from everybody and everything. Since she was kidnapped, he wants to protect her. So he's like, hey, bring her home. And I am now her warden. She cannot go anywhere without my say-so. She can't see anybody without my say-so. And he had to get permission from the king in order to do something like that, because she's under the king's protection, basically. And basically they're in there because Revenge had called to tell Wrath, the king, that he wanted to resend that because their home was being cased by the soulless human, the lesser O, who wanted Bella back. So, hearing this, they didn't know that O was trying to break into Bella's house again, but Revenge called and was like, hey, yeah, I need her to stay there a little bit longer. I gotta handle some stuff. Click. So they were like, yeah, so he's like rescinding that. And Zetas looks up and he's like, well, why? And they're like, well, we don't know. We know why, but they don't know why. And everybody looks at him and is like, whoa. And everybody's like freaking out. And he's like, what is the problem? What are we all looking at? And they're like, have you looked in the mirror recently? He's like, what is with you people? And so he goes and looks in the mirror, and lo and behold, his eyes are not black anymore. His eyes are yellow, like his twin brother, just like his twin brother. And he's like, oh my goodness, what's happening to me? And we're all like, oh my goodness, you're healing, yay. So that's that. His eyes like now like shift back and forth between yellow and black based off of his moods, which is really cool. But now he's not like shrouded in darkness anymore, because now he's got yellow eyes. So hooray. So like moving on. Zetas ends up getting a call while they're out in the field hunting lessers and killing them. And on this call, it's David. And he's like, yeah, you know who it is. I want that woman back. You know where you can meet me at this whatever place, which is like a movie theater. And then we're gonna go somewhere else. But you have to come alone, and if you don't, I will kill all these other people. He ends up killing them anyway, so it's like whatever. But Zetas tells Wrath and like all the other brothers that that's what's going on, and everybody's like, well, you're not going by yourself, so that's that. And Zetas was like, all right, I need everybody else to get out except for Fury, my twin brother, and the king, because I kind of just want to talk to him privately. So everybody else skedaddles because the king told him to. And Zetas was like, I'm going by myself because I want to avenge Bella, and I would like to avenge her as my Sheelan, which is like my mate, my wife, my woman. And Wrath was like, you didn't even have a ceremony for that. And Zetas was like, you and I both know you don't need no stupid ceremony for that. Don't play in my face. And Wrath was like, I'm not about to like sign off on your mission. Like, I'm not gonna let you go because you're gonna get yourself killed. And Zetas was like, well, I've been wanting to go on ahead and get off this train for a little while. And Wrath and Fury are both like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, I just kind of want to call it at this point. Like, I'm tired. And Wrath was like, you want me to sign off on your suicide? Is that a joke? And Zetas is like, no, this is just how I want to go out. Like, I just want to go out like this. I don't, like, in the blaze of glory. I'm at least going to take this one with me. And Fury was just kind of like standing there, like, I can't even believe what I'm hearing right now. And Zetas was like, yep, so that's the plan. And Wrath was like, all right, go for it. And I think the only reason that Wrath just decided, like, all right, fine, go for it, was because Zetas was going to do it regardless. Like, I really think that was the end all be all, is that it really didn't matter what anybody said was okay. Zetas was going to do what he was going to do for Bella because he likes her, he loves her, he's in love with Bella. But it's crazy to me. Again, I'm gonna really keep saying this because they're all looking at him like he is a literal monster, but then they pull stuff like this, like, oh, it would be just so much better if like he died, it would be so much better if he just like wasn't here. But when he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go die, you guys are all like, whoa, let's not get too hasty, like, let's calm down. But it's like a lot of that has kind of like trickled away now that his eyes are yellow and he's like healing and he's like talking and stuff and like being around everybody because he's like, Bella, we love Bella. So it's just like that took like really no persuasion. Like, I didn't have to talk you into it. He was just like, all right, yeah, fine, whatever, go kill yourself, what, who cares? So it's just like, why would we do that? What do we Anyways, we're moving along. So Zetas is going to get ready. He's like booting up, like, putting all his weapons on him because that's what they do. And Fury comes in his room and doesn't look the same. Fury's hair is gone. He cut all of his hair off and he sliced his face to look like Zetas. And then Zadis is looking at him like, what did you do to yourself? Like, why do you look like that? And Fury's like, you're all I have. And then he drugs his brother. He stabs morphine into this man's neck. Mind you, this is the same crap he was going through back in his past. So now his brother just drugged him and knocked him out, knocked him unconscious. And Fury took his place. So Fury went and met with the lesser at the movie theater and all that jazz. And it was only by sheer will that Zadis like woke back up, and he's like crawling. He can't even walk because he's still like drugged. So he's like crawling out of his room, and he's like screaming and screaming, and like wrath and rage end up like coming to him, and they're like, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? And he's like, Fury's gone, Fury's gone, Fury's gone. And he's like throwing up. Like, this man is like throwing up this morphine, and they're like, what are you talking about, what are you talking about? And then they end up getting another call that like some vampires are surrounded by lessers at their house, and they're like, oh my goodness, there's so much going on, what is going on right now? So like Zadis is throwing up, Fury is gone, everybody else is booting up so that they can like go help the vampires that are stuck in their house. And Zadis is like, once I get it together, I'm going after Fury, like I got it. And they're like, okay, you got it, we're gonna go help over here. So they like split up. So Zadis ends up finding where Fury is at and ends up like knocking down the door, and David, the lesser, is like confused because he's like, why are there two of you? And he's like, yeah, I'm actually the one that you really wanted. And he like proved it because like something that happened to Bella, only like he would know or whatever. So like they end up like scuffling, fighting and stuff. Fury is out for the count because he was getting literally tortured by this lesser, which is really depressing. But like he's out, he's down for the count. He's cooked. And Zadist is weak because I laugh because Bella called him weak in the book as well, and nobody liked that. But he is weak. Sorry, the guy's weak. He hasn't fed on any blood. He hasn't really eaten, and he's been throwing up morphine, so he's still like low key kind of drugged. And he was like punched. He's like getting beat up and stuff. So it's kind of a shame, really. And it took Bella posting up, and Bella ended up saving both of their keisters, and she killed David herself and got them all out of there. So, hooray. Then, moving along, they heal in the hospital. They have like a little brotherly bond situation. And then, so this is a thing. So there was another mated pair, Torment and Wellesley, that adopted John Matthew, the mute, that I mentioned probably like 40 minutes ago, right? So in the midst of all that scuffle to get Zadis to come to the theater and everything, O was at the house in hopes to find Bella, and Wellesley and her cousin ended up showing up at the house to talk to one of like her mom or something, because they're like planning a festival and all that jazz. And O ends up shooting Wellesley, Torment's mate, who is also pregnant. So she's dead and the baby is dead. And also her cousin was taken and then also murdered, which is just as sad. And they ended up telling Torment as like a group, and John was also there, John Matthew, and Torment was like, oh no, like the baby, like it's the baby, right? And they're like, oof, no. So they were like, hey, get the boy out of here. And they were like, no, I'm staying. And they were like, get the boy out of here. And so like they like B took John Matthew like right outside the door, and they let Torment know like Wellesley was actually shot in the chest and she's dead. And Torment went ballistic, like ballistic. and ended up just like vanishing, like in a gust of violent tornado winds. And we haven't seen him since. Um, and that actually kind of like made me cry. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and it was like she was like a really great side character, but for both, like, it was just really sad. So basically, John, who was originally an orphan and then got adopted by the Brotherhood, just lost his parents again, which was really sad. Um, so Torment was in charge of the classes, like the courses that new trainees were taking. Like, these are like new warriors who were like going through like their transitions and everything. So he was in charge of them, but since he's gone, somebody has to now take up the torch. And so while they're all having this meeting, Zadis is like, well, I can just do it. And everybody looked at him like he had three heads blowing fire. And they were like, you? Would you even be into that? And he was like, well, I could try. Like, I mean, Fury can do all of like the literary stuff since I can't read, but like I'm really good with a knife, gun, explosive. I can do that. I can do the physical stuff. And they were like, all right, so be it. Because at first everybody was like staring at him like, what? He was like, or maybe not. Sorry, I'll literally never talk again. Like, what the heck? And then they were like, no, yeah, no, you got it. You can do it, sure. And then Zadis ends up going to Rage's room and asks for his mate and is like, hey, can I talk to Mary for a quick second? And Mary's like, hey, yeah, like, what's up? What's going on? And he was like, hey, you used to teach like autistic kids, right? And she was like, yeah. And he was like, well, were they like slow? She was like, sometimes. It's just about patience. She's like, did you ever get upset with them for trying to like learn and stuff? And she was like, well, no. It was just more like I was upset with myself because like everybody like learns differently, and I just didn't know like what different way they learned. And so he was like, well, I would really like it if you taught me how to read. Maybe, perhaps, possibly. And she was like, heck yeah, I will. So now Rage's mate Mary is teaching Zadis how to read. Um, Bella is in North Carolina now, not in New York. But 2 months later, she comes back and is like, hey, yeah, I actually need to talk to Zadis. And then they end up talking. They end up confessing their love for each other because Zadis is like, I was trying to get better so that I could see you and give you back your necklace because it was a good excuse. And it's because I like you and stuff. And she was like, no way, because I'm like super in love with you, and I've been super in love with you this whole time. And then he was like, okay, but like, why did you actually come here? Like surely you didn't come all this way just to tell me that you like me, because I already knew that. And she was like, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. How did that happen, you might ask? During her heat session, he got her pregnant during the mating, that because that is like literally the only time that they are fertile. Then we're going to be passing through. It is now the epilogue, and it has been 22 months later. Zadis is full swing teacher now and has baby because now baby is there, and they live happily ever after. Those two, they're having a great time. He's now father, she's now mother, and they have baby daughter. She is cute. Okay, so here are a couple of like the side characters, like, because this was like a book solely focused on Zadis and Bella, but there were other storylines going on as well. And some of them I also thought were like really, really cool, and I just kind of wanted to incorporate them. So one of them is that John Matthew is of the lineage of Darius, and Darius is the father-in-law to the king. So it's his mate's father. I draw you a diagram, but no. Essentially, Darius had a daughter. The daughter ended up mating with the king, and John is from that line. So his sister is literally the queen of all the vampires and stuff. Now, I bring him up because Darius showed up in the first book in like the first 3 chapters. Now, unfortunately, he didn't make it to the end of the book because he got in a car and his car exploded because the Lessers killed him. They bombed his car. So we got to talking about him for like 6 seconds, and then they exploded him. Cow a bummer. Then, at the end of that book, he was talking to their makeshift god or whatever, and was like, hey, yeah, I gotta go back. Like, I gotta go back for my daughter, who is the king's wife. And it's like, I just feel like I left her behind or whatever. And so she was like, fine, like, yeah, you can go back, but you're not gonna go back as you are now. You're gonna go back as completely different. You're not gonna have any memory. He was like, that's fine. I vibe with it. So my theory here is that the pieces of the puzzle that we're getting is that John Matthew is Darius reincarnated, because he has the little like black dagger symbol on his chest. One. Two, every time he comes in contact with his sister slash daughter, he seizes out. Like, literally, he has seizures and then just dips out. Number three, in the middle of class, because he's a young transition male, so he is in Zadist's explosion class. Zadist was talking about car explosives and how to ignite a car explosive. And that's what happened to Darius. That's how he died. And so that is like what John Matthew was thinking about. And he was like getting flashbacks and he seized out. Number four, in that same sense, he was also hemming and hawing about the fact that something's missing. Someone's missing. Someone's lost. I have to go back to somebody. Four. And then also, number five, he's not going to be the same as he once was. He has like no memory of anything going on. And also, he can't talk. I feel like that is also like part of that. Like, he can't speak. He can hear, but he can't talk. So I think that that's Darius in John Matthews' body, but that's just me. Anyways, I figured it out. And the second one is that Butch and Vicious. Butch is a human who just kind of like happened to fall into this universe, and Vicious, who is a part of the Brotherhood, they're roommates, they're besties, they love each other. They're like, oh my goodness, that's my best friend, and they're like, oh my goodness, that's my best friend. And one day, in this book, actually, Butch was like getting ready to like do something. Like, he was like putting clothes on, or was like putting his shoes on or something. And V was like, hey, you should try this. And he had like a little glass of like red wine. And Butch was like, I don't drink red wine. You know, it's not strong enough, like all that jazz. And V was like, yeah, okay, but like, trust me. Like, it's like, trust me, dude. So Butch was like, ugh, fine, whatever. So he like drank it, and he was like, oh yeah, this is actually really nice. Like, what is this, like a Merlot? And V was like, something like that. And like, he finished it and saw that his friend was staring at him so intently. And Butch was like, what is the problem? And Vicious was like, nothing at all. Nothing's wrong. And so, him being a detective previously, he was canned, but him being a detective previously, he's like looking for like clues of what the heck was going on. And so he saw that Vicious had a slit in his wrist as though he had just made it a few minutes ago. And he looked at the glass, looked at his wrist, looked at the glass. It was like, Vicious, you gotta be kidding me. So he was about to go throw up, because he was like, there's no way that I just literally freaking drank blood. And I was like, this joint tastes like a Merlot. What the heck? So he ends up like running to the bathroom to try and throw up. But he doesn't even make it to the bathroom, because Vicious football tackles this man to the ground and is like, no, don't throw it up. Don't throw it up. Don't throw it up. He's like, no, get away from me. Get away from me. And it's like, no, you have to keep it. You have to keep it down. You have to keep it down. You have to keep it down. And so I'm reading this and I'm like, what is going on? What is happening? I'm confused, because I'm like, why? For what? I'm like, are you turning him? Like, what are we doing? And I was confused, because in this book, you're either born a vampire or you're not. Like, there is no turning into a vampire, you know? And so I'm like, why this? And it gets a little freaky. It gets a little weird. So like, he's like Butch is trying to get V off of him so that he can go throw up. And V has got him in like one of those wrestling move holds, and is like holding his mouth up and shut so that he doesn't throw up. And in the midst of that, he's like, it's fine, it's okay, just kind of like ride it out, like it'll pass, like it's fine, I'm here, you're good. And Butch is like blacking out, like he's like, this is ridiculous, I can't even function right now. And he ends up like getting heated, weirdly so. And he's like the inside like feels like it's like electrifying, like it feels like warmth is like pulsating through his body, and he gets downstairs excited. And I'm reading this, I'm like, is this not gay? Because throughout this whole book they're like, we're not gay, I'm not gay, I don't like you, we're not dating. And I'm reading this like, I don't know, you guys are in like wrestling moves and he's excited and you just fed him your blood. Like that's inherently intimate and it's giving off gay, you know? So, so I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? And like he ends up like just completing, like he just finished, like, and just from that, and Butch is like, there you go, it's all better now. And Butch was like, why would you do that? And Vicious was like, I just had a vision that I was supposed to do that. The why of it, I have no idea, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. And he's just like, I'm tired. I'm so tired. And Vicious was like, it's okay. You can go to sleep. Just go to bed. It's fine. Their friendship is very odd to me. I love a brotherly friendship, don't get me wrong. But there is like the way that it's talked about, it's like that there's something deeper there, and it really makes me scratch my head because I'm like, what more is there? You guys are friends, you guys are brothers, unless Butch hanging out with them is like turning him into, or like getting him like immune to vampirism, like I don't know. So I'm reading the fourth book, which is literally all about Butch, but it's definitely like I'm confused. But I also just wanted to add that little tidbit in there as well because it was just, it was why, and I can't wait to find out why. And we're gonna talk about that once I finish the next book. It's like, all right, guys, that is the end of this video. Ooh, I feel like we covered a lot, and I talked really fast the entire time. But I hope you guys got essentially the gist of this book, because it was great. I actually really enjoyed this book, and I would recommend it, and I absolutely would read it again. I would just say that if you are going to read any of J.R. Ward's books, understand that there are trigger warnings. I'm not sure where her trigger warnings are, because they're not in the books. They may be on the website, or maybe because they were written before trigger warnings were even a thing. They might not have any, but I would say that one is definitely full of triggers. I will not lie, but I really enjoyed it. It was great. Yeah, that's the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys also for, making it through this hour and 5 minutes without laughing at me with this tape on my bosom. It's been fantastic, and I hope that the audio is a lot better this time. Okay, that's enough now. Bye.